Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be ranking all mythic and legendary brawlers from the very worst to the best. Well, for the mythic, we're going to be looking at the 10 mythic brawlers because there's just so many to choose from, and then a few bad ones, and legendaries, we're going to be ranking them from worst to best. So strap in, it's going to be a long one, but also it's just a really good video no matter where you are in your Brawl Stars journey. You know, if you have a favorite brawler, it's still just good to know the meta and whatever else. If you're really struggling on what brawlers to choose in your star road, then this is the perfect one for you because there's a lot of resources that go into mythic and legendary brawlers. So you want to be making sure you're making the right choice for you every single time. Thanks to Samsung and the all-new S24 Ultra for sponsoring today's video. Chief Pat is finally back. However, he's evil and he's taken over Starr. OJ, Ben, and Waseem have been captured. The only way they can be released is by completing a series of brawler masteries. Samsung Galaxy is powering this awesome event on a Tribe Gaming YouTube channel where the trio will be live 24/7 for 5 days straight, trying to get up to 26 masteries on the S24 Ultra, which has never been done before. I've never seen anyone even try and attempt this madness. And the part I'm most excited for is definitely seeing Waseem trying to master my favorite brawler, Rico. Make sure to check out the live stream and the Galaxy S24 Ultra using the links in the description below, and who knows, I might make an appearance on the stream as well. So let's jump into a couple of really bad mythics first, and it's going to be Janet, Miss P, and Squeak. So I recommend never picking up any of these brawlers, whether you're a newbie, whether you're just an average player, whether you're trying to grind and rank towards masters. They're just not good anywhere throughout your Brawl Stars journey, so do not pick these brawlers whatsoever. They're just terrible. So now let's jump into the top 10 mythic brawlers. We're going to be starting off with Chuck. So Chuck is just a GOAT in Heist, the best brawler in Heist by far, although he's a little bit iffy in other game modes. I mean, he can work in some scenarios. He's actually pretty good in duels, for example, but Heist is the main game mode where you can just get the most free rank 30 ever. You don't need any brain cells. You don't even need star powers or gadgets with Chuck. All you need to do is just put one of his posts on the high safe, one of them a little bit further back, and then another one further back, and you just keep going back and forth, and you win the game like that. So Chuck is an easy pickup. Next up at number 9, we have Gray. So Gray's a difficult brawler to play, especially if you're just starting off in your Brawl Stars journey, but I think if you can master Gray, you can actually master some of the hardest brawlers in the game because his main attack is pretty hard to hit, but again, the cheesy strategy with him is just so good. The hot zone strategy is really strong. You can even use him as a gem carrier and gem grab and pair it with a tank. Knockout bounty is always meta, but make sure that you've got the walking cane gadget. Without it, he's pretty trash, but really good synergies, as I mentioned, in hot zones, specifically with like Rosa and all of these other tanky brawlers. So next up at number 8, we have Buzz. So Buzz is a super fun brawler to play, but not only that, he's a really strong brawler right now, especially with his hype charge. He can always make so many good plays, and he's just a good solid option pretty much everywhere. There's always a scenario where I'm thinking about Buzz. He's a great counter to some of the top brawlers in the meta, so you can always play him. So next up as the 7th best mythic brawler, we have Artie. So his resurgence in the meta is all thanks to the rework to his gadget. Essentially now you can just press your gadget and you get your super for free, so that's really going to help him out against tanky units. It's really going to help him out about countering the brawlers like Kit. So if you play Showdown, Duels, then Artie's one of the best brawlers there. Not only that, he's making his way into the 3v3 meta again. In Hot Zone, he's one of the best options for sure. Bounty, Knockout, you see a lot of Kit and you see a lot of aggro picks, so Artie's good for that reason. You've just seen him a lot more in competitive, so he should probably be even higher on the list. So next up is the 6th best mythic brawler, we have Buster, and he's still insane in the meta. I will say that other hyper charge tanks sometimes can get the better of him, but for the most part, he's just such an easy to use versatile option. Knockout and Bounty, he's always pretty solid when you look at maps like Out in the Open, for example. You look at Hot Zone as well, he's really good. His super can just block off so much of the choke points, and even as a lane in Gem Grab, for example, he can be really solid. It's all down to his gadget that pulls people closer towards him. It's just a free kill every single time. A good Buster player can really make a mark on a map. So as the 5th best mythic brawler in the game right now, we have Charlie. So even though she's receiving a damage nerf, probably with the next update, I think Charlie will always be meta, and she's actually just super consistent across every single game mode. Even on longer range game modes, you can just use the spider gadgets to counter for snipers. Every other game mode, she just hyper counters those tanks, and she has one of the most broken supers in the game, so you can always get value out of Charlie. So next up at number 4, we have Gene. I will say for the average player, Gene doesn't seem that good, but he requires some good team play, and typically he's only really the strongest on Knockout and Bounty. He's starting to make his way back in the meta in Brawl and Gem Grab in particular, but he's a fantastic option. He's got a really strong star power with magic puffs. He's got 2 decent gadgets, and especially once you equip the vision gear on Gene, it just makes him such a better brawler. You're not going to carry with Gene, but you're always going to be a good support brawler, and it's so hard to take a good Gene down. So next up is the 3rd best mythic brawler in the game right now. We went with Byron. So So Byron, again, is underrated by the majority of the Brawl Stars player base, but he just heals so much right now. He's such a good support brawler, but at the same time, he actually can go on the aggressive quite effectively. He cycles through super really fantastically, and again, you look at every single game mode, he pairs well with so many of the meta brawlers. There's a lot of cheesy strategies going on with Byron and Draco as well, for example, so he's just a good combo brawler. Knockout bounty, he's insane. Hot zone, he's really good. He's a good mid and gem grab. He can just do it all. So next up is the second best mythic brawler in the game right now. We went with Max. So again, another brawler that is pretty hard for the average player to play. Again, you're not going to do some crazy outplays with Max. You know, you're not going to get the most damage in the game, but the support that you can offer to your team is literally some of the best inside of the game, especially with the hypercharge. If you didn't know, you can easily cycle through Max hypercharge, and if all three players stand in the same spot, you can all get 75% of your super. That in itself is just broken. Max's hypercharge is so good once you learn that, and of course she's just super solid everywhere. Good Max can counter all of her snipers, can synergize so well with a lot of meta brawlers like Sandy, Rosa, all of that good stuff. She's just insane. So now jumping into the best mythic brawler in the game right now, no surprises whatsoever, it's Melody. Quite clearly, it will take some huge nerfs to actually tone Melody down, in my opinion, because the fact that she's got 3 supers, 3 dashes is insane. Her note deals so much damage and it's so cheesy. She's got a cheesy gadget, and it's just the fact that you can just run onto the high safe and delete it literally instantly is just crazy to me. So unless she receives a nerf to the fact that you can't charge your notes through the high safe, for example, I think she'll just always be insanely meta. Okay, so now we're going to be ranking all legendary brawlers in the game right now, from the very worst to the very best. Starting off with Chester. So I think quite clearly now Chester is by far the worst legendary brawler in the game. There's no one even close. So again, in casual play, Chester is decent. Like, you can push him up to like 800 trophies without an issue, because you can charge your supers pretty easily through the tanks or whatever else. But once you start trying to play Chester in ranked and everything else, there's just so many better lanes out there. His damage isn't consistent whatsoever. His supers are inconsistent. Everything about him is inconsistent. So next up, as the 10th best legendary brawler in the game right now, I went with Spike. So boy, has Spike completely fell off, and you might be wondering, well, he only received like a 4% damage nerf, I think it was, with the last update. But trust me, I think Spike was already really overrated. It was only the casuals that were just abusing him in ranked, but he has completely fell off. There's like no reason to use him. I think the only use case for him in a meta is maybe Quickfire or maybe Super Grassy Map. There's just better brawlers that just overrule him so easily right now. I just wouldn't really pick Spike unless you just want to have fun. Then of course you can go with that. So next up is the 9th best legendary brawler in the game right now. I went with Meg. So I know what you're thinking. I'll put Meg up so high with my last legendary ranking. I think she's really good if you play a lot of ranks, but I'm still seeing not a lot of Meg in ranks right now, mainly because like Nanny was nerfed, Piper was nerfed. There's just been other sharpshooters that were nerfed, and Meg kind of dropped off because she was a good counter to the sharpshooter meta. Not only that, I think Max is kind of replaced her in that sense, whereas Max just offers a lot more versatility. Meg's still good, but it takes like a skillful player to know how to use her. She's just pretty boring to play as well, so I just wouldn't really advise unlocking her. Next up is the 8th best legendary brawler to unlock right now. We have Crow. So after some time, Crow is finally better than Spike 100% in the meta, and it's literally only to do with his hypercharge. His hypercharge sometimes can be pretty okay once you learn how to use it. I think the only really big use case for him in competitive though is in heist. He actually is an insane heist brawler right now, one of the best, literally because again, his hypercharge can deal like 40%, nearly 50% damage to the safe. It will take a little bit of time to get used to and charging it up effectively, but I think if you defend well with Crow, you can easily make that happen. So yeah, at least he's usable in the heist meta. Next up was the 7th best legendary brawler in the game right now. I went with Leon. So he has been slowly drifting off the meta a little bit since his nerfs to his attack damage, his nerfs to his supercharge at maximum range. All of that stuff has kind of toned him down a bit, but I will say that Leon still is a little bit underrated in my opinion. I still struggled a lot against good Leon players, especially on the more open maps. I will say as well, the average trophy range, people don't know how to counter Leon successfully. He still does a lot of damage at point blank range, and his hypercharge is still one of the best in the game. So for me, he's still going to be good in the meta. So next up is the 6th best legendary brawler in the game right now. We have Kit. So I know what you're probably thinking straight away. If you play a lot of Showdown or Duels, he's like the best brawler in that game mode by far, because the metas literally revolve around countering Kit because he's so incredibly toxic, especially with this Showdown style power. But I will say he's still pretty good in Showdown as well. He's got some really cheesy strategies in Knockout and Bounty, Hot Zone as well. I've been abusing Kit and Draco, for example, just endlessly, because even if you use 2 counters to them, you can still get such a lot of value. So just depends on what type of player you are, but you need a good team to make Kit work effectively. So if you've got some friends that play a lot of Brawl Stars, then go Kit and try those cheesy strategies. So next up is the 5th best legendary brawler in the game right now. We have Surge. So he's been quietly creeping back up the meta. He received a couple of HP buffs and whatever else like 6 months ago or so, and since then the meta's changed and it just allowed him to be a little bit better. Main reason being is because he's such a big counter to a lot of the meta brawlers in the game right now. You're thinking all of those tanks, he's one of the best options. He's actually decently okay against some of the good lanes as well, like Sandy and Nita. He can be pretty effective against them. He's still got a really good gadget as well, but it's all down to the grassy maps. If it's an open map, he's going to get countered. If it's a grassy map like Double Swoosh, something like that, where he can get his first level, it's all about getting his first level, and then once you get that at the early game, he's so easy to use. Also, he's one of the most played brawlers in the game, so he's pretty fun as well. Now moving into the 4th best legendary brawler in the game right now, we still have Cordelius. So they turned him down quite a lot with the last set of balance changes, but that's not stopped how strong he is. Main reason being is because Cordelius is one of the best shutdowns to so many of the hypercharge brawlers, to so many of the tanks. He's even a good shutdown to throwers as well, you know, on Knockout for example. He's just such a good counter option where a lot of times I'll just ban him out in ranks because he's so strong. His hypercharge is really good as well. The fact that you just charge through so many supers in a 1v1 as well, there's not much really beating you in that DPS battle, so Cordelius has to be one of the best legendaries. So next up is the 3rd best legendary in the game right now. We have Amber. So she's just so consistent across every single game mode. I'd say she's easily S tier, but people don't think she's toxic, yet she's easily one of the best brawlers in ranked. She's just got 2 really strong builds with her gadgets. So you've got Dancing Flames for maps with a lot of walls, or if you're looking to counter tanks. Even brawlers like Sandy and Nita, Amber will win that matchup every single time. She's a great counter option to a lot of meta brawlers right now. You think of the long range maps, you're looking to counter snipers, you can go 5 starters and get some good value there. I think there's just value with Amber everywhere, and I don't really see her getting nerfed with the next set of balance changes, so you're pretty safe there. So next up is the 2nd best legendary brawler in the game right now. Controversial, I know, but it is Sandy. So the reason why it's controversial, because I think there's one better brawler than Sandy right now, but I still think Sandy is just dumb broken in this meta. The hype charge is just dumb crazy. The fact that your hype charge super lasts for 10 seconds is crazy. It gives you ultimate control so fast. As well as those 5 seconds, you get an even more boost of movement speed, damage. You can just melt through people. He's got a really broken gadget, and it's just, you're able to wall peek so easily with Sandy. You're able to chain through supers so easily. You think of every single game mode, Sandy is one of the best, except for Heist. I mean, Knockout and Bounty is not exactly the most meta, but Gem Grab, Hot Zone, Brubble, he's just literally S tier. I literally ban it every single time because it literally takes an idiot to play this brawler. You don't even have to think, because the super does all the work for you. You literally throw a super out and it gives you complete map control. Sandy's easily one of the best brawlers in the game. So now moving into the best legendary brawler in the game right now, I went with Draco. So a lot of people in the community seem to think that Draco is balanced, but I think a lot of people are getting it wrong. Because whenever I've been playing in ranked, I honestly don't think I've lost a single game with Draco in ranked this season. A single one. And people are using like Charlie, Shelly, Cordelius to try and counter me, but they just can't, because I know how to use them effectively. Let me tell you guys about the strategy with Draco. So you can use him pretty much everywhere. He combines really well with any type of healer, Poco, Byron. He's good with Kit as well, but you don't even need that. You just need your first super, use the last stand gadget, and just make sure you get as much value out of the gadget as much as possible. So try and activate that gadget just as you're about to die. That will give you a few extra seconds to, I don't know, get your super, or use your super to heal back up. And just about chaining those supers, especially when you pop the gadget, it's just insane. It gives you an extra near enough 3000 HP, allows you just to be a lot more aggro, gives you more ammo, the damage reduction, the speed, everything about Draco is just completely busted. I was using him in Hot Zone, for example. You've probably seen the gameplay. I just ran over 3 people by myself. The Byron will give me some heals, but I was doing most of the work. The last Sam gadget is done broken, and you guys need to abuse Draco as quickly as possible before people actually catch on to this. He's just so good. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.